Hi guys, I hope you all are doing well. I apologize for not uploading any video in such a long time. I have been very busy with my studies and because of this reason I was unable to post any video. However, I will make every effort to keep you guys entertained from time to time. A heartfelt thanks to everyone who did not unsubscribe and kept waiting for my next video. Please stay tuned for more stories. These incidents occurred while I was staying in a hostel far away from home. I was in my first year of MBA and had recently started college. My college was 10 minutes away from the hostel. It was also in a relatively unpopulated area. Miles of desolate fields, untrimmed grass, and trees stretched out behind my hostel's boundary. I have always liked being in nature's company, so I felt quite at home there. After finishing my class, I returned to the hostel in the evening. My room was the last room at the end of the corridor, and in that room, there was a window facing those lands. I was pleased with the room's location until these events occurred. As soon as I entered my room, I noticed that my belongings were sprawled everywhere. I needed to organize them, but I was way too weary to do so. That's why I chose to take a nap instead. I remember having a dream in which a cloud like smoke entered my room from that very window and dissipated into the air. I also recall being awakened by a loud noise which I'm still baffled about. I woke up and saw that the sun was about to set. As a result, without delaying any further, I began to clean my room. My bed was next to the window, and there was another bed on the other side for a student who had not yet arrived. Everything continued to be normal for several more days. One night after dinner, I was accompanied to my room by a senior who resided in the room directly above mine. As we were having a conversation, he advised me to keep my room's window shut. When I inquired as to why, he said that the place is haunted, and that he frequently hears a knock on his window despite of the fact that he kept it closed. I did not pay any attention to him and ignored his advice, and said if I closed the window permanently, my chamber would suffocate. Back then, I used to study till late night. For that reason, I used to keep the lights of my room open. One such night, I was studying in my room. The sound of a woman crying reached me. The voice seemed to be coming from far away, so I tried to ignore it. That's when it grew louder, and within a minute or so, it felt like it was coming from outside my window. I couldn't figure out what was going on, so I moved closer to my window and glanced outside. I couldn't see anything because it was completely dark. I returned and switched off the lights in my room to observe what was going on outside. I couldn't see anyone there, even after turning off the lights. That's when I raised my voice and asked, "Who's there?" But no one responded. But after this, that weeping noise stopped. I went to sleep without thinking about what had happened. The following night, I woke around 3 o'clock. I sat on the bed. I was feeling thirsty, so I poured myself a glass of water. While drinking, I gazed out of the window and noticed a glint of light somewhere far away, as if it was a shining firefly. When I looked closely, I noticed a woman in a white dress, moving slowly here and there in the middle of the field. That woman looked back at me after a minute had gone. She was staring right at my window. I felt a peculiar fear when she started approaching towards me. I tried to close the window but couldn't due to anxiety, so I hid behind the wall. I recall hearing footsteps on the grass and dry leaves outside my window. I was terrified because I saw her face while she was approaching. I had never seen a human face like this before. She looked in her 40s and had long and pointy fingers and a pale face with very sharp angles. She stood outside my window for a short while, then I heard her walk away. I assumed that maybe it's the same woman who had been crying that night. After this incident, I began to believe what my senior had told me. Days passed and I started sleeping with my window shut. Only the outside was visible through the glass. One night, just as I was about to fall asleep, I felt pressure on the end of my bed, near my feet, as if someone very heavy sat on the bed. Which was strange because I did not hear anyone walk into the room. No creaking door, no footsteps. I was too afraid to open my eyes. I didn't respond at all. And gradually, I felt that weight lift off my bed. The air, which was previously heavy with presence, became light and clear. I became quite weary as the days went by. I started having trouble sleeping in that very room. And after a few days, my hostel's warden informed me that I would have to share that room with someone. A new student had arrived. I was beyond happy to hear that. He was a cheerful young man and appeared to be a kind guy. We became good buddies within a week. One evening, I was returning to my room after class. I noticed my roommate had opened the window and was staring outside. I was taken aback and asked him what he was looking at, to which he replied he heard a girl screaming and opened the window because he was concerned for her. The sun was about to set, that's why I requested him to close the window. He urged me to accompany him in his search for that girl who could be in need. I was frightened to go outside, so I told him I did not want to go. But he insisted on finding her. Later, he convinced me by promising that we will be back before the sunset. And that is when I went outside for the first time in hope to help that little girl. We walked and searched for at least 10 minutes but couldn't find her anywhere. We continued to go further inside, and to my surprise, at the end of that land, there was a pond. The sun had already set. I turned to look how far away we were from the hostel, but I could barely see the building. As I turned back, I noticed my friend had disappeared. I looked for him everywhere and yelled out his name, but he was nowhere to be found. That's when I saw her, the same woman from that night. She was at the pond's edge and was submerged in water. Only half of her face was visible. A shiver ran down my spine as she was looking right in my eyes. I screamed, "Who are you? And where is my friend?" She pulled her entire head out of the water this time and gave me the creepiest smile I've ever seen a human put on. Her wet, dark hair, as long as the river, was now noticeable. Slowly she began to appear from the pond, and I realized she was standing on the water. She was nearly 10 feet tall and had hooves instead of feet. I had been mistaking her for a human all along. I understood the matter before seconds and ran towards my hostel as fast as I could. I could hear her running behind me, breathing heavily. I was scared to death, and the sounds from behind me continued to terrify me even more. I can't ever forget that moment when I felt the breaths of that woman on my neck while running for my life. She seemed to be on the verge of catching me. It was as though she was waiting for me to fall. Somehow I managed to run fast enough to reach my hostel. As I dashed into my room, I saw my roommate engrossed in his work. I bombarded him with questions. "Where were you? I've been looking for you everywhere. Why did you leave me alone there?" To my surprise, he answered, "When did I ever leave with you?" Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this story that I wrote. And if you did, please give it a huge thumbs up. And do not forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you again with another story very soon. Take care and be safe until then.